Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Otsego City Council meeting. Tonight is Monday, July 8th. Audra, can you have the record show that our city attorney, city planner, city engineer, along with all council members are present, along with our assistant city administrator and our city administrator. This time, I will ask you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item of business this evening is our open forum. This is the portion of the meeting where you can come to the podium, state your name and address, and limit comments to 5 minutes or less. Would anyone like to speak at this time? Seeing no one, we will close the open forum and move on to item 2 to consider our agenda for approval. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add or delete at this time?
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
I would like to add a discussion around the deletion of city council meetings from the city's YouTube page. So you can make that item 7.1.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to add or delete?
Mayor, Council, one point of correction. There was a mistake in the paper packet for item 6.1 that has been corrected online to remedy a timesheet. So.
Okay. Any other changes? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
I move to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
Motion by Ryan, seconded by Jeff. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item is our consent agenda. A motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
I move to approve the consent agenda as written. Second.
Motion by Ryan, seconded by Jeff. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item under 4.1 is Costco. I will turn this over to our city planner.
Thank you, Mayor. Costco Wholesale Corporation's here tonight for their final plat application, as well as site and building plan and conditional use permit applications pertaining to Lot 1 and Block 1. You'll recall that the City Council previously approved a zoning map amendment preliminary plat for this development in February. Now they're proceeding with the next step in the process. So the site is guided by the comprehensive plan for commercial land use of the Zone B3 General Business District, which allows the retail Costco store as well as its secondary uses within that zoning district. They're final platting 3 lots within the development, 2 of which would be developed at some point in the future potentially, but will be retained by Costco in the interim. For the Lot 1, Block 1 applications, obviously the site and building plan review for the primary store, and then conditional use permit applications dealing with minor auto repair, motor fuel facility, the exterior finish of the building, the lighting standards for exterior fixtures, and then signage. The comprehensive plan again guides the site for commercial uses within the West Sewer District where utilities were made available when Zimmer Farms was constructed. Commercial use was guided based on access and visibility to I-94 and surrounding commercial and industrial uses to the north, west, and south of the site, transitioning to higher density residential uses within Otsego on the east side of MacIver Avenue. This site was specifically described by the comprehensive plan for this type of use. It's actually nice to see the implementation of that carried through in such a exact manner. The reference to the statement in the comprehensive plan, again, attractive both to local markets as well as regional traffic on I-94. This area really started to develop in the early 2000s when the city constructed the West Wastewater Treatment Facility and the Arbor Creek, Martin Farms, and Zimmer Farms developments all initiated construction. The Zimmer Farms project included construction of MacIver Avenue from 70th Street south to 60th Street, including the section that is along the east side of this site, which was done by the developer at their cost. Obviously, the development that's occurred around it reflects the planning that was done both by Otsego, Albertville, and St. Michael in the area. This is a reference to the existing uses and planned uses in the area, and again, emphasizing this as a transitionary site between the interstate and the residential uses to the east. Again, the final plat consists of the 3 lots as shown on the preliminary plat, the 1 large lot for Costco, as well as 2 lots for potential future uses. The lot area requirements of the zoning ordinance were satisfied. Lot width was also satisfied with approval of a conditional use permit allowing the lot at the southwest corner to be less than the required, but that's based on the shared access that will exist from 60th Street between the 2 lots that allows for a more efficient land use pattern without streets being required. Stormwater has been reviewed as part of the overall development plan by the city engineer. Utilities are available to the site, will be extended to serve each of the 3 pad sites within the plat. There will be credits involved with construction of trunk sewer and water facilities in accordance with the comprehensive plan, and including reconstruction of a water main through Marlowe Avenue that was undersized for the planned use of the site. That will all be undertaken as the streets in the area are under construction as part of the county road project. Easements are shown on the final plat as required by the subdivision ordinance at the perimeter of each lot, and then overlaying the water main and sewer trunk lines within the site. Park dedication would be satisfied as a cash fee in lieu of land, as the city is not seeking to acquire property from the area. The final plat also includes right-of-way as prescribed by Wright County for the planned County Road 137 project. This is the project that was being undertaken by Wright County, regardless of this project moving forward. So it's really Costco is happening because of the road project, not vice versa. And the planning for that continues with involvement of both Otsego, Albertville, along with Wright County and their engineering consultant on the design. Really, right now, they're more focused on the interchange issues. The design for 60th Street between this site and the properties in Albertville to the south has been largely determined, and they're moving forward with that. The other access to the site will be the 1 location at MacIver Avenue. And as part of the transportation study information that was reviewed with the preliminary plat, there was a finding that if this was constructed as either a 2-way or 4-way intersection, there'd be a slight increase in the delay for someone coming from the Zimmer Farms neighborhood to turn left to southbound MacIver. To offset that and also recognize that MacIver Avenue at some point, probably within the next 10 years, will extend all the way to County Road 39 as development occurs. To offset any potential impacts at that location, the developer will be constructing a roundabout at that location, which will provide no impact for functionality of it will cause no impact as a result of the traffic from the development at that intersection, and will facilitate future regional growth in traffic volumes. The building plans, it's just over 163,000 square feet. They are proposing some variations in exterior materials from what's prescribed by the zoning ordinance, not quite up to the 65% grade A materials, but using a combination of grade A and B materials to exceed the requirements of the zoning ordinance based on the provision of energy efficiency and also utilizing recycled materials. The height of the building is within the allowances of the zoning ordinance. For such a large building, they are using materials effectively to break up the mass of the structure and anchor really that corner of the development, and emphasizing the visibility of the site both from I-94, 60th Street, and MacIver Avenue. Signage is also a request for some flexibility. If you look at the standard allowances for the zoning ordinance, they don't necessarily fit a building of this scale. And when the city looked at Target and other PUD developments, we did include some flexibility to basically combine the allowed signage into fewer larger signs. They're also foregoing a freestanding sign on the site as well. So the net effect of the flexibility is, yes, the signs on the building are larger than we would typically allow by 80 square feet. But the overall signage within the site is substantially less than would be allowed by the zoning ordinance. The site plan has been designed and it basically looks very similar to what was reviewed with the preliminary plat. There was a slight reduction of 6 parking stalls down to 873, but that's still well over the number required by the zoning ordinance. The number of stalls is more than Target's providing as part of their store of similar size on the east side of the city. Setbacks are all complied with. Loading is on the east side, or excuse me, west side of the building. And one of the items the Planning Commission did discuss was how that functions in terms of traffic management through the site, as well as the access for the fuel facility on the southeast corner of the property. Pedestrian access would be available both at McIver Avenue and Lyman Avenue, with trails on the existing trails on the east side of McIver Avenue and south side of County Road 137. There will be a trail added on the north side of 137 that would extend from I-94 all the way to Marks Avenue, so the Magnolia Landing development, improving accessibility for the project. They have sidewalks within the site leading from the perimeter to the building itself and between the building and the fuel facility. There are 5 service bays on the east side of the building for minor auto repair. The zoning ordinance allows hours 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Costco is proposing that the service center would essentially be open the same hours as the store. But from a regulation standpoint, we will just use the allowances of the zoning ordinance so that if Costco were to change their hours, they wouldn't need to come back for an amendment to accomplish that relative to the service center. There's also the requirement that the exterior doors be closed when service is occurring. They have to comply with the fire code, and there's no outdoor storage allowed. Motor fuel facility includes a unit for an on-site staff member. Initially, there'll be 16 pumps with 32 dispensers. They are showing on the plans expansion of that to the south. It's also important to note that the facility is open only to members, which was a question asked by the Planning Commission. And there's also no diesel fuel. The city and the zoning ordinance allows hours 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. unless extended by the city council. Again, Costco is only proposing hours essentially corresponding to those of the store. They are open a little earlier and a little later so that you could load up your last of your Costco shopping and then get gas on your way out. But to accommodate flexibility going forward, we are recommending that 24-hour allowance be provided for. That would be consistent with Quick Trip, Costco, or Coburn's, and Holiday Gas within the city. This site being farther away from any residential use, staff doesn't view that as a concern. There would also be no outdoor sales at the fuel facility. The landscaping plan, obviously in a site this large, is difficult to see on the screen, but they have provided extensive landscaping throughout the perimeter of the site and within the parking lot, emphasizing especially the trees along McIver Avenue, keeping the ones that were planted by Midwest Landscapes, Dave ID back in the day when McIver Avenue was constructed. So those trees have had 20 years to grow and mature and provide immediate screening benefit, and they'll enhance those with additional screening materials. They are proposing extensive exterior lighting throughout the site. It's designed with a 90-degree horizontal cutoff. The zoning ordinance allows the fixtures to be up to 25 feet in height. What Costco is proposing is that the standards be 32 feet in height for most of the site, except right along McIver Avenue. That does allow for a 50% reduction in the number of fixtures required to illuminate the site to their standard. It's essentially a scenario similar to looking at a high school football field. If you're trying to light that type of area, you can get by with fewer taller fixtures than multiple lower fixtures, accomplish better lighting, and ultimately less overall lighting. They are complying with the illumination standards at the perimeter of the property. In fact, exceeding that with 0 at the property lines. And at the Planning Commission, Mr. Cross did indicate that when the store is closed, the lights are dimmed. There are security lights closer to the building and facilities kept on, but their intent would be to help control and minimize any glare through operations of the site as well. Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 3rd to consider the application. I noted in the report that there were no public comments. There was actually one. Corey Tanner spoke with a question about Costco's community contributions, which was addressed by the applicant, but didn't have any concerns regarding the use. The planning commission did discuss a number of elements regarding the functionality of the site, but ultimately Mr. Cross addressed those concerns and questions, and they voted 7-0 to recommend approval of the application. City staff likewise recommends approval based on the items listed there on the screen. That approval would be subject to 17 conditions that are outlined in the findings of fact and decision.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to comment?
I'll get up and comment on something, but I will keep it short. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Steve Cross, the Costco Director. Happy to be here tonight with you. My address is 1955 Rainwood Drive in Illinois. And with me tonight is a illustrious traffic engineer and from Kittles, National Traffic Consultant. So we're very happy to be here tonight for the final stage and giving the final approval. And Dan has obviously done a stupendous job outlining the project and giving all the pertinent details here. So certainly I don't want to go through that and take up a lot of time here. So we're really just here to answer questions in more detail or anything that's not identified on the plan. We're happy to provide that information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So Dan, when I look at the motor fuel, and Steve can agree to this, so you have to have a Costco membership, which the hours coincide with that. And the closing, as you said, you get your Costco, but you're putting it in here for 24 hours only if something changes, correct? So that they don't have to come back, same as.
Mayor, for example, most of the business other than Quick Trip, which is open 24 hours, but they'll have credit card access at the pump. So that is something Costco could choose to do in the future. One of the things we discussed, if there was ever a situation like the COVID pandemic and, you're trying to space people out and provide access at different times and in emergency situations, then that flexibility is key. And it doesn't seem to cause any impacts in the existing businesses that we have. So for the most part, that limitation exists in the case the planning commission or city council sees an issue with compatibility, otherwise can extend it as they choose.
Okay, because as I said, you have to have a membership and you can only usually buy fuel at both this store and their competitors when they are open.
Right.
So, okay. Just read a little funny to me in there in a few spots, so I wanted to confirm.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Brittany.
I did have questions, Dan, with regards to the loading times. It's obviously a different situation with Coburn's and residential right behind there, but loading times, are they going to be loading at 5 a.m. or?
Mayor, I'd ask Mr. Cross to address that.
Good question. So typically where our operations work is we want to get all of our stock deliveries before the warehouse opens, not stock the shelves and have, like the home go, close off aisles and have the forklifts rising up to 30 feet in the air or whatever. So we want to get it all done before the 10 o'clock opens. So we do have trucks will be coming in throughout that morning, and they could be in that 5 to 6 time in the morning there, all the way through to about 9, 9:30, something like that. And as Dan mentioned, the dock is on the far west side. The anticipated access is coming off 94, turning down 60th Street there, and then turning in at that roundabout at the middle of the site. So staying away from the guided side, and kind of doing all of that movement on the west side of the site.
Sure. And then I also just had another question. With the future expansion for the motor or the fuel pumps, right now, Dan, you said 32 pumps. And additionally, do you have any idea as to what that expansion, how many you'll be adding?
Sure. Yeah, so we have 16 actual pumping stations and they're double-sided. So we have 32 pumping vehicles can pump 32 at the same time. So on the drawings there, we show what we call it 4x4. So there's 4 rows of pumps and then there are 4 pumps deep. So that'll be a 4x4. So what we're looking at on the drawing, we show an extra row to the south. So we show another row of 4. So that'll put it up to 20 actual pump stations, which is multiplied by 2, and you have 40 pumping stations at the same time.
And then my last question is, I assume you work with many different cities, many different staff members of cities. Just curious, you mentioned Dan was working with Dan was stupendous, which
Hard to believe.
I may find that hard to believe, but do you, just in comparison, or again, you had a good experience working with our staff and it's gone fairly well?
Absolutely, nothing but positive things. I'm not just saying that, you know, so it's gonna put me a $10 bill off. No,
Only
it's
10?
been great. The quality is very nice to see that. And accommodating, it's tough in some of the negotiations and things, so they definitely did get a free pass and everything. And so, no, I think it's been great, and Ron's been great as far as engineering. We've got a good budget, and the county does as well, as far as how we absorb the county. Traffic and the roundabouts, the evolution of that whole design. So I think it's been a great team. We look at it as a team collaboration.
Well, thank you. Any feedback for Dan? No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. Thank you for answering all my questions.
Any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Dan, do you happen to know where the fuel pump shut off is going to be for that?
There is usually one on the far side, and it's on the south side of the pump.
So that sort of the,
It's within code, says wherever the code requires us within so many feet of the pumps themselves.
when I was trying to picture it, it looked like it was on the north side. So it'd be out of view of the pumps. That's why I kind of wanted to confirm. And really, while you're looking at it, the only reason I want to bring that up is if this does eventually become a 24-hour thing with that many pumps, I'd just like to make sure that the fuel shut off, if you're not going to have an attendant there 24 hours, would at least be obvious.
Absolutely. So I need to be able to price share.
Yep.
Fine. Sometimes they move those shuttles around depending on the specific sites, so. I'll zoom in here, but you can see my mouse. See down to the south end there,
Okay.
we'll bump out, that's the shuttle down there.
Okay.
And then as regarding the 25, Dan's exactly correct. I mean, we don't operate 24 hours, we're not planning to operate 24 hours. We obviously open early, we get the early morning traffic, so we open before the warehouse at 6 a.m. And then we close a half an hour and look at the warehouse. So there's really no intention at this point to make it 24. I mean, it really operates with the warehouse. It's not going to be functioning independently through the night. And then there will always be attendance there. We do have attendance there. So there wouldn't be any time where you could go and buy gas and look around, but there'd be nobody there with Costco, without a Costco.
Okay.
They usually are helping to direct traffic because there's so many people buying gas at Costco. Yes.
Now we're gonna have plenty of pumps there, so that should be a very smooth order line to keep pump station.
All right, other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Ryan.
in the, at the February Planning Commission meeting, there was a memo from Wright County and it said they would have further comments as they got the preliminary plan. Was there additional comments from Wright County? Mayor, they haven't issued formal comments. They just said our initial comments stand, but we've been working with them directly as part of the 137 project, and they've approved this layout and the plat. They provided the right-of-way needs to Costco, and they approved the right-in, right-out access on the west side of the site. So everything is moving forward towards that final approval once they design their roadway improvements and can then sign off on the plat.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
just a clarification point. Steve, is the plan is to have Costco up and running fall of 25, is that correct?
So we're gonna come down when the county gets the road done.
Okay.
Yeah, they depending on, you know, the agencies outside of their control, the FHWA and MnDOT, that's really kind of the wild card. If
Okay.
They can get it all done and built in 25, you know, we get 25.
Okay.
They're saying that it might go into 26, depending on the response from the other agencies. And I was talking to Dan earlier, I mean, depending on what the road condition would be, how they phase that. If it's
Sure.
really just doing the grant work later.
Okay.
And 60th Street across the property is fully built out and fully open.
Yeah.
It's possible the operators would be comfortable opening it, but if this road is gonna be shut down at any point in time,
Mhm.
obviously. So
Sure.
we're hoping we can twist our arms.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And Mayor, as I said, the main concern is the exit ramp roundabouts at this point, because that does involve federal highway. The section between this site and the sites in Albertville to the south is largely settled at this point. They're just coordinating now with federal agencies over the timing and the approvals necessary for those two roundabouts on the interchange.
All right, any more questions or comments?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a final plat of the Costco addition, a conditional use permit and site building plans for Lot 1, Block 1, Costco addition, subject to the stipulations listed by the findings of fact and decisions as presented.
Second.
Motion by Brittany, seconded by Tina. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Ryan?
I think the traffic generated by this proposal is clearly a concern. It's an issue that was raised by the Planning Commission as well as during a public hearing and by this council. And yet our council packet has almost no information on this issue. As an elected official, I'm directly accountable to the citizens of the city. I need to be able to justify my decisions to them. And I find it difficult to do that when critical information needed to make those decisions is missing. There's no information on our packet to challenge and no data to put our minds at ease. Without that information, I did do my best to try to piece together the facts. I did my homework over the weekend, and I understand that this plan is projected to add 8,500 trips to our roadways per day on average, with 80% of that traffic coming from County Road 137. The other 20% would be coming from Kyber. Average daily traffic for County Road 137 or 60th Street right now is at 11,137 as of 2022. The capacity of that road will increase to 14 to 17,000 with the county road improvements. Yet the 6,800 additional trips on that road as a result of this development will exceed the capacity of that roadway even after those improvements. Wright County had projected that County Road 137 would reach 15,300 average daily trips by 2040, even with this development being commercial. However, this development clearly blows past those projections, increasing traffic on County Road 137 by 61%. What that means is there will likely need to be an additional road improvement, including adding lanes within the next few years, with some of those costs falling on Otsego taxpayers. From Guyver, the current average daily traffic is 3,783 as of 2021. The capacity of that roadway is between 12,000 and 15,000. The additional 1,700 daily trips will increase traffic on McIver by 45%. Wright County's long-range transportation plan extends McIver north to County Road 39, where it will connect with where the new Otsego High School will be. The projected average daily traffic for McIver in 2040 was expected to be between 4,100 and 8,500. This development is challenging those projections as well. While 8,500 extra cars on our road is a lot, it's also worth noting that the number of parking spaces in this plan could easily accommodate twice as many customers. At an average shopping time of 45 minutes, the 873 stalls in this plan has a capacity of 12,222 customers per day, or 24,444 daily trips on our roadways. While it seems unlikely to occur, it's also true that the developer is holding the additional lots on this parcel in case more parking spaces are needed. 873 parking stalls is 30% more than the Coon Rapids location, over 18% more than the Maple Grove location, and over 15% bigger than the St. Cloud location. It is quite possibly the largest Costco parking lot in Minnesota. I tried to find the largest Costco parking lot in the United States. What I found was the Fresno, California location with 889 stalls. That's only 16 more than this plan calls for. What that means is this store could quite possibly be one of the largest Costco parking lots in the United States, planned for our city. Yet it's not just the amount of traffic that is a concern. It's also what that additional traffic means in terms of maintenance costs on our infrastructure. Using the value per acre of the Maple Grove store, I estimate that the property taxes the city might see from this development would not cover the additional road maintenance required as a result of this project. Using the 8,500 average daily trips, we would see an increase in County Road 137 of 61% and McIver by 45%. Yet the property taxes from this parcel will only cover about 16% of the monies needed for County Road 137 and McIver up to County Road 38. That gap represents a negative financial situation for our city that can only be covered by an increase in property taxes on our residents. City Code 11-4-2, Part F, Paragraph 4 states that the council shall consider possible adverse effects of the proposed conditional use and that our judgment shall be based on, but not limited to, the traffic generation of the proposed use in relation to the capabilities of the streets serving the property. Our comprehensive plan also outlines our fiduciary responsibility to ensure financially stable development. We are charged with securing the health, safety, and welfare of the public by ensuring managed growth occurs within a framework of local infrastructure with sufficient capacity to meet community needs and expectations. We're also required to encourage a rate of development in a variety of land uses to expand and diversify the city's tax base and maintain a favorable financial condition. Finally, we're also required to monitor the city's procedures and services to ensure that the financial costs associated with those services are paid by those making the request. I ask that this plan be reworked so that it does not put the city into a situation where the traffic is beyond the capacity of our key road infrastructure and that the development does not put us into a negative financial situation. Thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Right, moving on to item,
Steve. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Steve. Thank you.
Great job, Dan. Great job, Ron.
Item 5.1 is Carrick's Landing Park improvements. Nick is here this evening.
And
I think he's seeing if his microphone works. It's not on.
oh,
Oh dear. Thank you. Much better.
There we go.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you guys again. On tonight's agenda was Carrick's Landing. As you know, we sent it out to bid. And due to the issue with prevailing wages not being addressed in the first contract, we did receive favorable bids again, and actually the same contractor won the bid. So the difference ended up being $24,220, which really is just a prevailing wage increase, which was needed to secure the funding from the state for the DNR outdoor recreation grant. So minimal change was had. We're still well under budget, $719,800. The project was estimated at $775,000. So things came in really, really, really well. And I'm here before you again, asking you guys to hopefully adopt the resolution tonight, accepting the bids and awarding beta the contract.
Any questions for staff? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Ryan.
just a couple questions. I was comparing the bids. You said that the difference is between the prevailing wage increase.
Correct.
Do you know why the other bids didn't increase?
The other bids that other contractors who bid the project,
Right.
I'm not sure, I guess. I'm
Mayor?
not sure if I understand your
Yes.
question.
They may have been, Veda is not a, what do you want to call it?
Union contract.
union contractors. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But the other ones probably were union contractors, so they already
So they
had
their
that
prevailing.
cost built in because they had, if they're union, they were likely paying in either at prevailing wage or in excess of prevailing wage, so they didn't have to change their bid. We also had 2 additional bidders in this one versus the 3, and we were up to 5 on this one.
Did that answer your question, Ryan?
It did, thank you.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
Okay. I was looking at you for a follow-up if you had something. All right, if no other questions, then a motion would be in order.
Mayor,
Yes,
I can make a motion. Motion to adopt resolution 2024-48, accepting bids and awarding contract to Veda Contracting LLC of Cokato, Minnesota for the Carrick's Landing Park Improvements Project. City Project 24-06 in the amount of $458,702.01.
Second.
motion by Jeff, seconded by Tina. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Good job, Nick.
Madam Mayor.
Thanks, Nick.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
did forget to ask Nick. Nick, start date still, start date, are we still on time for the project? Is there any,
I think it only pushed us back about the bidding window, so I would just
Okay.
estimate 2 weeks or so. Vada's on site at Ashwood, doing great work, and so hopefully they can just mobilize right over to Carrick's Landing after this.
perfect.
Mayor, we didn't change the completion date,
Okay.
although we rebid it.
great, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, moving on to item 6.1, approve the EDA Commissioners compensation for June 2024.
Mayor, council, in your packet, there's a short memo and then timesheets from the EDA Board of Commissioners. So there was an EDA meeting on June 24th. At the last council meeting, there was discussion on how to fund the compensation for those meeting stipends. Staff did develop 2 recommendations that were included in your memo. One being the General Fund City Council Department, the other being the General Fund Economic Development Department. So there are 3 claims submitted for reimbursement. Staff is looking for direction and discussion on how to account for those expenditures in the current year, and also direction on how to incorporate that into the budget for 2025.
Mayor,
Yes, Ryan?
I guess I would just ask what, from my reading, the city council does not approve EDA commissioners' compensation. Under 1-7, I think, -1, city council approves city council expenses and compensation timesheets. We're supposed to give it to the city clerk and then it's approved at the next council meeting, but we don't do that for the EDA commission or other commissioners.
Correct. The discussion is largely not about whether to compensate the EDA Board of Commissioners. It's where to fund the expenditure from. So that's what I'm looking for direction.
Okay.
For future meetings, staff would likely follow the same direction that you're giving and follow a similar process as you mentioned. So it would just be compensated.
Okay. So as Adam said, there's 2 options outlined.
Yeah, historically, at least throughout my time here with the city, when there has been EDA meetings, those commissioners have received a stipend from the city council budget. The EDA commissioners are the same as the city council according to the bylaws of the EDA, therefore it aligns as your role as a council member. That would be, again, based off of past practice and the most logical recommendation from staff, but open to other ideas.
And as Adam did outline, there is an economic development budget this year.
Correct, Mayor, there's 15,310 that were outlined in that department budget. There was not a specific line item in that budget for meeting stipends, but to date, we've spent, the city spent about 30% of that budget amount.
Any, what were the expenses in that budget?
There's a few dues and memberships that the city pays for that are related to local chambers of commerce, the Economic Development Partnership through Wright County. There are a couple marketing and contracted service budgets in case there's a project that comes forward to the council that we need to hire a consultant to study for the council. That's largely what that 15,000 is made up of, those couple of minor items.
Council direction on this one?
I'll make a motion. Madam Mayor. Or do you want direction first and then motion?
The motion is left blank for the direction.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah. Is there certain direction that you guys would like to, which budget this would come from?
I'd say city council.
Other council members?
Mayor, I would just reiterate what I said in the EDA commission. I don't think we have the authority to do this. The statute and the establishing resolution say that it must be paid from the EDA budget. Everything that I've seen in the EDA manual says you have to do this as part of the budget process. So I don't think that we have the authority to do this.
Dave, Adam, comments?
Mayor, there is a statute that says that it is paid from the budget of the Economic Development Authority. So if there were a budget of the Economic Development Authority, it would be incorporated within the city's general fund. That's quite common. The league handbook on economic development authorities does outline that that's the most common way. I did check with Wright County. That is also how they operate their budget for their Economic Development Authority. It's just a department within their general fund.
But they still have to meet every year to establish a budget, correct?
Correct. The EDA did not submit a budget request to the city council, but the city council has set a general fund budget and has discretion on how to appropriate those funds.
Council, we need some decisions here.
I mean, Madam Mayor, I actually feel that if it's the Economic Development Department, that's, honestly, that's fine with me. If it's the city council department, it doesn't matter to me. We will have, I do feel that there should, whatever we choose, so they should have the line item there, obviously, just to, so it's pointed out and there's no guessing where it's coming from. You can see it. There's no discrepancies.
Yeah, that's
So have an economic development department line item.
I mean, if you have to budget for that.
Staff can certainly budget meeting stipends similar to how we would do planning commission, park and recreation commission, heritage preservation, public safety. We can include the meeting stipends in a line item for future
Makes sense.
budgets.
that works.
That's just my, again, personal thought and opinion, but
Thoughts on that, council?
I'm good with that.
So my EDD.
Fine.
You all right to make a motion on that, Mayor?
You can make a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. Motion to approve EDA Commissioner's compensation for June 2024 with the funding provided by the Economic Development Department. Budget within the general fund.
Is there a second?
second,
Motion by Jeff, seconded by Brittany. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
This Ryan?
we'll just say I looked at surrounding cities, Elk River, Albertville, Rogers, Monticello. They all have EDAs. They all have established budgets. Even I tried to find cities that didn't really use their EDA. Chanhassen, I think, comes to mind. Even in those years, they still established a budget for the EDA. So I'm going to vote no on this because I'm still not convinced that we have the authority to do it. And that's what my no vote is coming from.
And my comment would be, we did budget money. As you can see, there is money in there. And I'm just pointing that out too. I can agree with your comment that those other communities, but they also potentially, the communities that you listed are those communities using those fees to pay different funds, I guess, I guess is my question to you.
Potentially. I'm not sure.
What Mayor, Council, what could be a differentiating factor between communities is that if there is an EDA established, the city council can opt to levy on behalf of the EDA a property tax specifically for that purpose. Which if you were to do that, that would indicate the need to create a more established budget, be part of the process, also declaring a separate depositories of those funds are separated from the city's pooled funds.
General.
But right now, the activity within the EDA is at a level that doesn't necessitate, one, levying specific property taxes on behalf of the EDA, or two, creating separate bank accounts or budgets.
Thank you, and that makes sense.
In every community is different. Not every community levies an EDA tax. Some do, some do not. Otsego does not and never has.
In St. Michael, for example, they have a,
St. Michael, I live there, so I do know that they levy
separate.
a tax on behalf of their EDA.
Mhm.
Other communities that you mentioned, I can't speak for.
so we have a first and a second on this. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. All right, moving on to item 7.1. YouTube page discussion, Ryan, you added?
Yeah. So I went, it's sort of trying to prepare for the Costco discussion earlier tonight. Over the weekend, I tried to go to our city's YouTube page to look at the prior meeting when Costco was here, check my notes, and I was shocked to find that the past 3 years of our city council meetings have been removed. I thought that maybe we had been hacked or something. I thought that maybe they were accidentally deleted, but I received from Adam this morning that it was done intentionally. So
Mayor, council, intentional is probably, if by intentionally mean following the records retention policy that the city's adopted and set forth by the state of Minnesota, then yes,
So we're following our procedures that we already have in place.
correct. And those procedures are set forth by section ADM 05950 of the records retention manual, that those city council audio and video recordings are to be kept they need to be kept for at least 3 months after the adoption of the minutes of said meeting.
And they were 3 years.
Audio recordings dated back to 2019, video recordings to 2021, I believe. So they were far beyond the records retention schedule.
I assume it's because we have potentially a new IT person who is also helping our city clerk follow our.
That's
protocol.
part of it. I mean, there was 25 gigabytes of data taking up space on our server for things that were 5.5 years plus in excess in the case of audio, beyond what we needed to keep.
And then we should clean that up.
The YouTube page, we did clarify with the city attorney, but that is an extension of city records. So if we delete according to the records retention schedule in this category, you should also be following that in any extension of your records.
So Mayor, that's correct. So I recommended that the city be consistent, apply the data records retention schedule across all potential platforms that the city's operating on, so that you wouldn't get a different result if you made a data practices request to the city for a recording as opposed to going on the city's YouTube page. I recommended that assuming the city has adopted the state records retention schedule, I recommend the city follow that in all circumstances, including maintaining the city's YouTube page.
Of course.
Mayor, earlier this morning, I did a quick survey of other Minnesota city councils on YouTube. City of Bloomington has 4 years of city council meetings on their YouTube page. City of Rosemount has 4 years. City of Virginia, Minnesota has 4 years. City of Morris has 5 years. The city of Rochester has 5 years. The city of Little Falls has 7 years. The city of Foley has 3 years. City of Farmington has 5 years. The city of Brainerd has 13 years of city council meetings that their residents can go and look at. The city of Austin has 10 years. The city of Newport has 2 years. The city of Victoria has 4 years.
Do you have
The city
a
of Good
point?
Thunder has 2 years. The city of Cottage Grove has 4 years. The city of Marshall has 8 years of city council
Asking to
meetings.
have them back
The city
on?
of Corcoran
the
has 7
website.
years. The city
You-
of Now Then has 7 years. I am still speaking. The city of Burnsville has 5 years. The city of Fergus Falls has 4 years. The city of Victoria has 10 years of city council meetings. The city of Monticello has 4 years of city council meetings. The city of Albertville, Minnesota has council meetings from 9 years ago. Although they don't record their meetings anymore, they still keep those ones up. There are so many others. It makes no sense for us to take the volitional act of going onto YouTube, selecting these videos one by one, and deleting the audio video record of our city council meetings from the public eye. It costs $0 to keep them up. There is no maintenance required to keep them up. In fact, it costs us time and money to go in and remove them.
Put on your big boy pants and ask, what are you asking for? Would you like them to go back on YouTube?
Point of order, Madam Mayor. That's out of
That's
order.
fine.
That's out of
Yes.
order.
Then just what are you asking for? It doesn't need to be this disrespectful thing towards staff. Do you want them back
I
on
said
YouTube?
nothing. I said nothing disrespectful towards staff. I move that no further meetings be removed from our city YouTube page.
That's all you had to say.
My question is, and Ryan, I haven't seen your page. I didn't do a survey. I guess if we're following protocol, it makes sense to me. You reached out to the city attorney, Adam, and we confirmed this. My question is, do all of those cities put them on YouTube? You can confirm that, or those are on their website?
That's what that's from. I went to their YouTube pages.
To their YouTube pages. Okay. And Adam, you said that this does cost money because we're using storage, which then we would
It's
see
an
expense.
opportunity cost. It's not a direct cost,
Okay.
right? We don't pay an additional fee for having specific amounts of storage, but we have an opportunity cost of how do we use our server to meet the operational needs of the city. So regardless of that space, it's again, procedure set forth by the state of Minnesota, not by the city of Otsego, that says that those records are to be kept for that amount of time. That's what the city has adopted.
Mayor, real quick. I know that when we do our videos here, I know that we post it on YouTube, that portion, I'm sure we can delete, but the YouTube portion, we don't need. That should be on YouTube itself, that server. And when it comes to that,
But Dave is saying. to
I know,
delete it.
but with that, because I like them when they're on, or I've liked them since we've started in 21. I can hear staff say about space and whatnot. I think it can be deleted since it's already online, and YouTube, since you upload it to YouTube, it's on. I have stuff back going 10, 15 years, so it's, you understand YouTube, that's how it goes. But when it comes to back 3 months, what would be then? Can we give staff option to keep it on there? Since we've started recording in 21.
Well, I see some options. I don't know what all those other cities, what judgment they made on this question. I've always erred on the side of caution, and I would say the data practices and record retention schedules should apply to everything the city does. If those other cities, it's possible, I don't know the explanation because I didn't have a chance to look at that. It's possible that they have different, maybe they haven't adopted the state records retention schedule and they have a different schedule for saving of meetings, or maybe they view it as their YouTube page is not a city held document and therefore not subject to the retention schedule. The options, or maybe, also I should note that technically, although no one really feels this way in the current day and age, the minutes are the official record of the meeting and the video recording is not. But there's a couple options. You could change the retention schedule for the recorded meetings which if you're doing, so if you're otherwise adopted the state record retention schedule, but you change that one thing, it's probably gonna cause confusion, right? Because it's gonna be different from everything else that you've adopted in the state records retention schedule. Or you could, if these other cities have taken the position that the YouTube page is not subject to the records retention schedule, you could, explore taking that position. I think the conservative approach would be to take the position that it is subject to the records retention schedule. But you could try to argue otherwise. And if you'd like me to research, what position, if any, it's also possible that some of these cities just have not looked at this issue. I don't know what the explanations are. I just looked at the question, does the record retention schedule apply to the city's YouTube page? In my opinion, probably yes. As for why other cities may have concluded differently, I don't know. I can try to research that if you'd like me to.
I guess to me, it seems as though the list that Ryan read off should be shared with you and that we will save that. I mean, I do think this is a discussion. We don't need to make a decision right now, but I do think that you looking into those other cities, finding out some options for us, pros and cons, I think is appropriate.
I'm happy to look into if those cities may not have any explanation on why they do what they do. They may not have looked at this issue, but
Sure.
to the extent it's possible, I'm happy to look into that question.
Well, I mean, if this coming up tonight and Ryan bringing up other cities as he did a poll this morning, this is all fresh information for all of us. So I think it's worth the attorney looking into.
Yeah, I'm surprised that
bringing
got
it back.
taken off, yeah.
So,
There's 3 years of city council meetings that are gone.
Oh, yeah. When Brittany and I started, that was the first day. But yeah, if you could look into, I would ask if you could look into that, please.
I'm happy to look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
can you provide that information, Ryan, the list?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, we are under city council reports and updates. Does anyone have anything?
Mayor?
Yes.
I got something. Ryan brought up a great point on the EDA about having meetings. I would like to give staff direction on if we can have, starting in 25, I'd say by the first special meeting of every year, have an EDA meeting to discuss, commissioners, old business, new business, whatnot, have that at the first special meeting to start with every year. So it is up to date every year. Would that be
Mayor.
okay, council?
Prior to the pandemic, that was standard practice that the meeting of the EDA would occur either in January or sometimes February.
So to outline that, the first special meeting, let's say the second council meeting in January, the first one in February, where there's a special meeting planned to have right in the beginning, EDA appoint officers, blah, blah, every year or however that be, would that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And council,
Mhm.
do I have to make a motion on that?
You do not.
I have a reminder for council. Tomorrow night we have our, I don't know if I want to call it a field trip, but we are invited to North Star. So the Public Safety Commission will be hosting their meeting there. Wright County will be there. Daryl will be there. I believe Dan, you're attending, and a few of us council members, along with the public safety commissioners. So.
And Mayor, I have a couple things here too.
Yep.
Wanted to get your responses and what your thoughts are as a council to take both flags and put them up to the front, because I feel when we do this, we're putting our backs towards our audience, towards the people, and I've always felt that that was something that we shouldn't be doing, and would rather have our flags up front somewhere where we can put them and not turn our backs towards our audience.
Council.
Where would you,
Yeah.
Mayor, council, where would you propose they go?
I mean, they can go right by the TVs. We can put them there right in the corners or the edges. Or wherever you would think that they would work.
Dave, any?
I don't know of any particular legal requirement about where the flag have to be.
Okay, good.
I mean, it makes some sense to me that they're visible when people are sitting in the audience. They're behind the dais, so people can see that the council flies these flags, either watching on TV or sitting in the gallery. But I think you can probably put the flags wherever in the chambers you would care to. I can look at that too, but I doubt I'm gonna find anything. I think you've probably got discretion on where within the chambers you fly the flags.
Tina, would it make sense to, because I know on video, we still have them on, but on the TVs, of course, we have to zoom out a bit, but that's just semantics, but I understand the turn around and looking, but we are doing the pledge, so I guess.
I still think we should be forward though, with the
Okay.
flags.
All right.
I don't know if it's helpful, but I know some councils that have them up on the dais like you do, and some that have them out in the gallery. So I'm pretty sure it can be done both ways.
Okay. So I wanted to throw that out there, number
Yep.
one.
Mhm.
And then the second is I wanted to find out if, now that we have our communication specialist, if I was thinking the website, that we could put, the businesses that are going into the city and, list off the businesses, because I know social media, you look out there and they're saying, well, what's over here? What's over here? What's this? What's that? I think it'd just be nice for us as a city to put on our website, this is what's going in, by Target or however you want to say it, but at least would give the residents the
We can easily
know
find it.
of,
Yes.
of what is going into our city. Now, one step further would be is if we can put, like, when are they opening? If we know that, that would be great too, but.
Sabrina's raising her hand.
Mayor.
She must have an answer for you.
Good timing. This is actually one of the projects Heidi's currently working on. So she is updating our Zoom tours, which we have through Wright County Economic Development, which is basically a map that shows proposed businesses coming in.
Okay.
And then also possibly looking at kind of actually putting a business directory on our website as well.
Perfect.
Where businesses can opt in and sign up to be on that. So
We had that years ago. There used to be a business site, but then the problem was we had nobody to keep it current and.
Yep.
So.
We
so-
also used to have a planning map
Yeah.
that showed all the developments.
Mayor, that's correct. We did. No one had the time available to maintain that. And that might be some opportunity with communication specialists now to have something similar.
Madam Mayor, is there any sort of, Dan, is there any, I don't want to say feedback, but, and I don't want to say make it a requirement, but for these businesses that are under construction and doing what they're doing to bring their business here, is there a way to have them
Put up a sign.
put up a sign for
Mayor,
what they're,
We can certainly encourage them. I wouldn't require them to put up a
Sure.
sign. Obviously, they want people to know that they're moving in at some point, so.
sure,
It was helpful. I know Christian Brothers put up a sign. And I'm surprised others don't, but like in the case of Ace Hardware and Pet Supply, they were on such a tight schedule, they would have barely got the sign up by the time the building was
Before it opened, yeah.
sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's all I had.
Okay. Any other items? Then moving on to staff reports and dates. Sabrina,
Thank you, Mayor. No updates.
that was probably your update.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Adam,
Mayor, council, no further updates from me.
Audra,
I have no updates. Thank you.
Dave,
No updates. Thanks, Mayor.
Dan,
Mayor, the planning commission will meet next Monday to consider an application for a comprehensive plan amendment for the Harpster property at County Road 42 and County Road 36.
Ron,
Water and sewer is now to the fire department location, which we've been waiting for a long time to get there, but it is to that site. Just have to do some testing.
perfect. When will they be putting on 75th? When will that be?
Yeah, I keep letting them know we want it to be paved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's call them again tomorrow.
I got them on speed dial.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Daryl? Okay. And Sergeant Bartle.
I have nothing.
Okay. Because you were on a trip. Yeah, we did this last time.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Well, if no one else has anything, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
Motion by Tina, seconded by Jeff. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The meeting is ended. Thank you all for attending.